Hi, good morning. Good lunchtime, actually. Welcome to the Old Geezers Show on Tuesday morning. I have to tell you that I've just had two massive sneezes, so if I have another one, I'll try and mute the mic and we'll see what happens from there. Okay, well, what are we looking at today? We've got two or three interesting things for you today, which include a look at care homes and the problems that care homes are still having with letting people in to see residents. That's just a small number of them, and it seems a bit ridiculous to me. So maybe someone wants to do something about it. I think the politicians wants to do something about it in the House of Lords. So we will see what happens from there. The other thing I want to talk about as well is a viewer's tip. The excellent Sharon Hills came to us with a little tip about stopping buying newspapers. If you're a regular newspaper reader, and I have to tell you I am, then newspapers are bloody expensive, aren't they now? The other thing I want to talk about, just briefly in passing, really, is one of our government ministers. As we all know, I think we have what we can only call the right-wing government, and that government has some peculiar and quite hostile viewpoints as regards older people, and we'll talk about that as well later in the show. This is the lady we're going to be talking about. Okay, so what are we on today then? Well, the first thing to say is that we also have, I've forgotten this one, we also have a piece, if I can make it work at the end of the show, a piece from America showing what younger people's viewpoints are about older people and how out of touch so many young people are with reality. I'm going to show that in the program, and we'll also show that separately later on in the day. Okay, so where are we going to start today? The first one we're going to start with is this one, which is one I always remind you of on a Tuesday, because Iceland, the small freezer supermarket, they are relatively small, aren't they, shops, most of them, they have their 10% off for everybody over 60, but don't forget, you have to ask. Before me, the people who went out the shop before me didn't bother. So I guess they're either wealthy or they didn't know, but I guess probably they didn't know. There you go. So 10% off at Iceland. Don't forget, get in there and get your 10%. Okay, so this is what's next. I'll give you a kind of rundown on this. Do you remember back in the early days of the I don't know what you call it, really, the first lockdown? Everybody went mad, really, regarding keeping people safe and stuff like that. And many care homes, or most care homes, said, "Oh, you can't visit your old people. You can't visit your rellies in a care home." And I found that dreadful, and I think so many of us did really find that awful, didn't we? And so that was then gradually over time released. But it still appears that 102 care homes across the country are not allowing any visits even now, and 98 are only allowing visits in exceptional circumstances. So that means that the residents in 200 care homes in the UK are not actually allowing visitors to visit their elderly relatives. Now, what do I think? Well, I guess I have to say that I think that is bloody awful. I think that's genuinely a real cause for concern. And I think that truthfully, if you have a relative, a friend in a care home and they're not being allowed visits, then you really have a problem. There are also all sorts of kind of odd stories going around. Like, for instance, if some people complain about not being allowed visitors, they can be evicted. They are actually kicked out. Oh, you can't complain. What? This is really, I think, pretty damn evil. What do you think? I'd love to hear from you. Let me know if you think that this is ridiculous, because I certainly do. And what can I say? I hope you do as well. I'd love to hear from you on this one. This is really a dreadful story. I think it's an awful story. Just go back to the page again. And this is from the Guardian newspaper. You can look it up for yourselves. 102 care homes in England are not allowing any visits because of COVID. For God's sake, it's all kind of gone past. I know people still get it, people are still dying from it, but in reality, that seems unreasonable to me. I think we should need to really unify the approach to this horrible disease. We should just make a decision and stick to it. There has been some feedback from the Care Homes Association. We have asked them, we reached out to them and asked if they could actually provide us with any reasons why people shouldn't go and visit their relatives in care homes, and they haven't come back to us, which proves that they think probably that we don't matter. But I think their residents do matter. There you go. Oh dear. Yes, why don't we ask for Matt Hancock's input on this one? Danny, Danny Charlene, very good indeed. I love it, actually. I think that's a nice one. I love it. Okay, well, all right, forget it. It's just out of the jungle. Yeah, well, to be honest with you, I think we should leave him there, don't you, really? What can you say to that one? Nice to see you there live today as well, actually, Danny Charlene. I love it. I do like to see people out there, and it's nice to have you there. Okay, what else we got? Well, I've got another one coming up now, which is a bit political, and that's this one. Therese Coffey, who is actually my local MP, unbelievably, she has said that it's not the government's job to help out food banks. So as far as Therese Coffey, a government minister, is concerned, the people who use food banks can go hang. If they haven't got themselves sorted out with a job, she said, we ought to get people into jobs. Well, I couldn't agree more. But the reality is that Therese Coffey, I think, is nearly a Nazi, I would say. She's so far to the right that she believes that people should be left to go hungry if food banks run out of food. And whose fault is it if food banks run out of food? I think it's a Conservative government which has had 12 years of cutting everything and is now cutting food to people. What can you say to that? I'm going to walk away from that one. I just think it's worth raising and kind of waving in your face a little bit. There you go. Okay. I think we ought to go on to a brighter story. No, we've got two more brighter stories for you. This one, I love it. A lady called Sharon Hills was looking at our page the other day, and there was a bit on there, as you recall, I did a little bit yesterday. And I wanted to show you this. I'll just get rid of that and show you this. This is an app called Newsreader. And Newsreader has a deal with local libraries in the UK, or in England certainly, which allows you to read national and some local newspapers on your phone. It's really, really nice, because newspapers have become, as we all know, quite expensive. So I thought this was a nice tip, and that is the app as it looks. You can get it on your phone. You can get emails, I think, via your PC, but you can actually read the newspaper directly on your phone if you just sign into that Press Reader app, download it. It's really useful. It doesn't cover all local papers. It doesn't cover my local paper. What? But it does cover the nationals. So there you have it. I think that's a really worthwhile tip. Let's just go back to it. And this is what she says. I've stopped buying newspapers and now get them free digitally with my library membership. Maybe a good idea if you're computer literate, which, well, you have to be to watch this show, don't you? You have to enter your library name and library card number into an app called Press Reader, which is free to download. You can then select your choice of newspaper to read free of charge. Sharon Hills. Thank you, Sharon. I really appreciate that. And I love it when people send us some information and an interesting story. Okay, well, we're now going to go to something interesting and different. There we go. Now, I'm not a spectacularly big follower of American websites, but this American website is called AARP. It's the huge American website that actually does things for older people. I'll give you more details on that in another show. But they did recently a video which shows how older people are seen by younger people. And I think this is really interesting, and it gives you an interesting view on what is regarded as old by the young. I'm going to play it for you, and we'll see what you think. Don't jump about if you find this is not working properly, but we'll give it a go and see how it goes.
Hey, how's it going? You can stand right there. That's for Mark. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Great.
Awesome.
Just tell us your first name and your age.
My real age?
My name is Paolo. I'm 25 years old.
My name is Daniela, and I'm 19.
24. 35.
31. 33.
I'm 26 years old.
What age do you consider to be old?
Late 40s.
Maybe 50.
I feel like 30 is a new 20, so I'd say like 40 is old.
I'd probably say 50s.
I'd like you to show me how an old person would cross the street. Show me how an old person would send a text message. How might an old person do a push-up? What about jumping jacks? Okay, hang on. There's someone I want you to meet.
Hello, I'm Birch. I'm 66.
Hi, I'm Daphne, and I'm 68.
I'm Dee, and I'm 55.
George Fassbinder, 75.
My name is Parvati. I'm 70.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
We're going to give you about 2 minutes to teach each other something that you are good at.
I can teach you a jump that I do.
Okay, please.
Both of your legs go up,
Mhm.
and your arm goes up, and your left arm goes like to the side. Ready?
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Lift 1, 2, 3. And bring it to your heart. And bring it to your heart. Add the head in. Yeah.
Now try to get your balance.
And raise up. Now you can bring your legs and your feet up. It's hard, right?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. So when you come out of a turn, either way, you go back to that basics.
Over. Now forward. Over. Yeah.
Square it like this. And give me a hook. Hook. Jab, cross. Hook. And then we'll go like this. All right?
1, 2, 3.
Now, what age might you consider to be old?
Probably 80 or 90. He could just do everything that I told him to do.
An age that I would consider to be old now might be 100.
Do you remember what you said?
Yeah. I said in the 50s. I thought that would be old. But when I thought about it, like...
Wait a minute.
I'm sorry.
I can do it. It really changed my thinking of what old is.
You've taught me something today. Clearly, there's no way she's old, you know?
Now I know from today, hey, I don't look at age.
At my age, I feel like I did when I was in my 20s.
There's so many things that I still want to do. There's so many things that I can do. As long as I'm growing and learning, then age doesn't matter.
When people start stopping, that's when they start getting old.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Daphne. It was great meeting you.
Yeah. How long have you been doing this? Is this a new skill?
40 years.
Wow.
And there you go. And there you go. What do you make of that then? I think that was really an interesting piece. And it was so interesting. Oh, it's good. We've got to stop that. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. We got the advert. You can't believe it, can we? We actually got the advert, but there you go. What do you think about that? Let's have a look and see whether we've got any comments on it and see what. Let's go back. They've chosen a very select demographic here. I've seen people who are 20 look 40, people who are 40 look 60. Well, yes, I think that's true. Excuse me. Not going to answer the phone. If it's someone on the phone who I don't want to talk to, there you go. It's all about lifestyle choices, says Danny Charlene. I think that's deeply true, actually. That's really seriously true. So there you go. Now, what do you make of that? All told, everybody else who's watching this program later. I think it was a really interesting, I think it was selected, but I do think it's interesting because a lot of people, like me, thank goodness, are actually reasonably healthy at our reasonably great age. Okay, well, I hope you found today's show interesting. I think that's an interesting one from my point of view as well, and I hope you're going to watch our next show, which will be later in the week. I'm Chris. This is the Old Geezers Show. And this is Tuesday, the 13th of December. We'll be back with you soon. If you've been watching, thank you so much. I do appreciate you watching. And I hope you'll continue to watch this show as we continue to go and grow.